Good afternoon. First of all, I want to say how delighted I am to welcome the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, to Dublin on a beautiful autumn afternoon. It's not his first visit here, of course, and we've met at quite a number of European Council meetings now, some quite lengthy, so we've got to know each other quite well. Of course, President Michel's visit comes a week before the European Council meeting, at which we'll be dealing with a number of very important issues. And today we discussed obviously the ongoing COVID situation across Europe, the economic impact of that across Europe. We also discussed the climate change agenda, which is part of the next Council meeting. And we, from the Irish perspective, indicated, of course, that we'll be supporting strongly the ambition of the European Union in relation to the climate change agenda, and that the legislation that we published yesterday dovetails very strongly with that ambition. We also, on the agenda next week, will be European Union African relations, and again we discussed the importance of a strategic, broad approach and resetting a relationship between the European Union and Africa. We also discussed Brexit and the ongoing negotiations, and of course the importance ultimately for all concerned of a sensible, sane trade agreement, which would be in the best interests of the people that we represent in terms of protecting jobs, protecting enterprises, and ensuring a good strategic future relationship between the European Union and the United Kingdom. That said, the situation remains very challenging. There needs to be movement in terms of getting into end-stage negotiations, and we feel there's a lot of work to be done yet on a number of fronts, and it's quite a challenging task ahead of the negotiators to ensure that an agreement is arrived at. So delighted to have you here, Charles, and take the podium there.
Thank you, dear Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here in your country today, and I would like to warmly thank you for your welcome and for your hospitality. It's an honor to be received here in Family House. We had very constructive discussions on many important topics, and of course we tackled also Brexit. My message is simple. The EU stands in full solidarity with Ireland, and this is especially true when it comes to the full implementation of the Withdrawal Agreement and the Protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. This text has been negotiated for 3 years. Each word, each comma has been debated for hours and hours. It has been ratified by both parties. There is simply no question on its full implementation. This is a matter of law, a matter of trust. What's at stake is what we cherish most, the Good Friday Agreement, the peace and stability on the island of Ireland, and the integrity of the single market. This is not only an Irish issue, this is a European one. I have been very clear yesterday with Prime Minister Johnson. It's now for the UK to restore trust and to put all its cards on the table. The EU is doing its utmost to find an agreement with the UK, but not at any cost. We are following these negotiations very closely on a daily basis and are fully united behind our negotiator, Michel Barnier. And to get to an agreement, we need significant steps to be made by our British friends in the coming days, not only on fisheries, but also on the level playing field and governance. On other issues, such as road transport, energy, or trade in goods, progress has been made, but it's not enough. As in any such negotiation, nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. The coming days are crucial. This is the moment of truth, and there is only 1 week to go before the European Council on 15 and 16 October. We had also the occasion to discuss many other very important topics, the single market, the digital agenda. How is it possible for the European Union to deliver more concrete results for our European citizens, but also the occasion to discuss important international topics, the relationships with China, the relationships with Africa, for example, and climate change is a very important priority for us. We followed what has been decided in this country, and it demonstrates a very strong political ambition. We want to support these positive efforts. We will have the occasion next week during the European Council to have an orientation debate about climate change, especially the European goals by 2030. And I hope, this is our intention, that we will be able to take formal decisions on climate change by the end of the year. I would like to thank you because it was important for me personally to have this occasion to listen actively, carefully to your political priorities at the European level, and I am optimistic because I'm certain that we'll continue to work together closely with all the colleagues in order to be able to deliver very concrete positive results for all the European citizens. Thank you again.
Thank you, Charles. So we take question.
Taoiseach, Coleman O'Sullivan from RTE News. Can I ask you, obviously Donegal and Northern Ireland areas of particular concern in relation to COVID. You spoke to Prime Minister Johnson this morning. Did anything come out of that call in terms of action that will be taken there for Northern Ireland, and is there any plans to address the very worrying figures in Donegal?
Yeah, well, first of all, during the conversation, I was making the case to Boris Johnson following contact we've made earlier in the week, and also discussions I had with the First Minister Arlene Foster and the Deputy First Minister Michel O'Neill, both of whom are very concerned about the rising case numbers in the north. And I made a very strong point to the British Prime Minister this morning that the situation is very, very worrying in terms of the growing numbers in Northern Ireland, and that they needed support. That the Northern Ireland Executive needed support, and that if he could give consideration, particularly in terms of financial support, to underpin any efforts or any restrictions that they might decide themselves to bring in. In addition to that, I've also discussed with the Chief Medical Officer earlier in the week again that situation, and in terms of collaboration between our respective Chief Medical Officers in terms of coordination and harmony of measures on both sides of the border, because they are of concern to us.
Sorry, question for both. Simon Coveney yesterday said he's become a little bit more optimistic in recent days about the possibility of a deal between the UK and the EU. To both of you, would you share that feeling? Are you a little bit more optimistic now than you have been?
In my opinion, the next days will be very important. This is a challenging situation. We think that we need more clarity, and we will see if it's possible to make real and concrete progress on the level playing field, on the fisheries, and on the governance. And I would like to add that the full implementation of the withdrawal agreement is also essential, in our opinion.
Yeah, I would say that the mood appears to have changed, and there's been more intensified engagement. Certainly, the President of the Commission last week had a good discussion with Boris Johnson. I know Charles spoke to Boris Johnson yesterday, but mood is one thing. It does need substance to follow the mood, and one needs concrete outcomes from the negotiations, and positions need to change, and I think Europe has given good indications. The European Union Task Force, Michel Barnier, over the last while, they need to be reciprocated, and so I've been very consistent from the outset. The logical outcome of this, in terms of the interests of the citizens we represent, is to have a comprehensive, good free trade agreement, absent of quotas and tariffs, to enable Europe and Britain to work well together into the future in a strategic way that would be in the best interest of all our citizens.
President, we're now a week out from when a deal can be reached. Is it we're at a point now where you are hoping just to achieve a very basic deal, and if the fisheries issue isn't sorted, can we assume that there will be no deal? And then also, Taoiseach, in your conversation with the Prime Minister this morning, was there any indication that there could be an island-wide circuit breaker?
Well, first of all, in terms of no, we didn't discuss that, and I think the UK has its own issues and challenges in relation to regional approaches that it is adopting to the COVID situation. We had initiated contact. He initiated contact with me in terms of coordination around what was happening in the Republic vis-à-vis the North. So we wanted to follow that up. We had a telephone conversation this morning, and it was really around the idea of supporting the North in whatever measures that the First Minister and Deputy First Minister would decide to take, and also highlighting our concerns in terms of the growing numbers in the North and the need for coordination, but also, I think, critically also supports, because I think it's a reasonable point to make that the Executive would require additional assistance and support in terms of measures that they have to take, and that is the sense I'm getting from politicians in the North. And we had I had a discussion on Monday evening with Arlene Foster and Michel O'Neill, and they're clearly very worried themselves about the growing case numbers, so that was nature, and it was a very specific discussion around that issue.
We have demonstrated that we are ready to engage with the UK. We are negotiating. We are very clear. We defend the European position. But it's right that all the topics are very essential in the interest of the European member states. It's very important to deliver a concrete outcome. The fisheries, this is an important topic, not only in this country, but also for many other member states. It's very important to get a good deal on this question, but also the level playing field is key, because the level playing field is the guarantee that it will be possible for the UK to have an access to the single market on the basis of the respect for common standards. This is an important question for us in order to avoid an unfair competition between the businesses in Europe and the businesses in the UK. This is key for the future of Europe.
Taoiseach, just turning to COVID in this jurisdiction, excuse me, there's a meeting of NEFIT later on today. Have you any indications as yet as to whether there might be an increase in the level of controls, maybe to level 4 or to level 5? And secondly, have you confidence in Health Minister Stephen Donnelly? And did he assure you that it wasn't he who leaked the recommendation of level 5 escalation to RTE last Sunday?
Well, first of all, I do, of course, have confidence in the Health Minister, but to say I don't have an indication of what NEFIT may decide today. I don't ordinarily interfere at all in NEFIT's deliberations. NEFIT is a body that meets, adjudicates. I obviously spoke to the Chief Medical Officer. We did a discussion on Tuesday morning. We had a longer meeting on Monday. We have a graduated plan as a country. We worked with NEFIT in relation to the formulation of a strategy to live with COVID-19, which involved moving to different levels on a graduated basis. And why did we decide to do that? Because we wanted to give the people out there some sense of expectation, of anticipation as to what could happen if case numbers got worse. So therefore you would move from level 2 to level 3 to level 4 to level 5. And government is of a view that we want to maintain that graduated response. Also wanted to, the plan is very clear that it could be county by county if necessary. And we want to retain that flexibility in that graduated plan in terms of a county by county approach. And hence Donegal would have been moved to level 3 much earlier than the rest of the country because its numbers were far higher, and Dublin as well. And the CMO and myself agreed that we would continue to discuss, and keep in touch in terms of the ongoing prevalence of the virus and its growth. And the Oversight Committee met yesterday, where 8 or 9 Secretary Generals of the departments met. Chief Medical Officer was there, the CEO of the HSE, and again a very exhaustive look at each sector in terms of enforcement, adherence to guidelines, upping, if you like, the intensity around making sure that we can make level 3 work. Because making level 3 works means we avoid level 4 and we avoid level 5. Level 4 and level 5 have serious consequences for the economy, for jobs and for society. And we take the implications of moving to level 4 and level 5 very seriously as a government, and we have to take the wider situation into account. In terms of the situation on Sunday evening, that's the first I've heard of that suggestion that you've just put to me, because I'm not sure who. I don't know who leaked that, but clearly it is, you know, a large body, and I certainly can't say one way or the other who leaked it. But I'm certainly sure that Stephen Donnelly didn't leak it.
Was it very responsible for whoever did it?
Yes, well, I think, look, we've had a lot of discussions around that. As I said, we had a graduated plan. We had received advices on Thursday from NEFID to the effect that the epidemiological situation didn't merit going from level 2 to level 3. And then on Sunday, we got an alternative, you know, a different set of advices. And of course, part of the idea of the graduated plan, Tenan, really is that I think the days of saying you get an advice on Sunday, we're going to do it that night or Monday night, people need a bit more preparation, to be fair to people. People are employing, in a company, they could be employing a lot of people. We've learned from previous decisions. So, for example, I recall when we brought in level 3, what was the equivalent of level 3 to Kildare, and Laois and Offaly, some of the hoteliers and restaurant people said, look, we've had to cancel events. We had bought in a lot of product and raw material, and therefore, you know, you need to take that on board before you make these kind of decisions, because they're very real impact on us. Weddings were cancelled at very short notice, you know, family events and so on. And so all along the way, we're trying to learn from previous decisions to inform future decisions. And I think that is important, and that's why we would like a graduated response. Now, that said, and we discussed this over lunch, the virus isn't kind to plans, okay? As Charles was saying over lunch, we were not due to discuss COVID last Friday morning at the European Council meeting. We were supposed to discuss a concept of strategic autonomy for Europe, and there was meant to be 4 or 5 hours debate on that. But the virus found its way, and instead of that, we discussed COVID-19 for 3 to 4 hours at the European Council meeting because of the rising case numbers. So I'm very conscious, to be fair, notwithstanding all of the plans that we put together, the virus has the capacity to put them askew and to undermine a kind of a graduated, organised response. So thank you very much indeed. Thanks.